Welcome. My name is Karen Thomas. I want to thank Charisse. This has been such an informative and wonderful summit. This has been so blessed, so many great speakers, and I am honored to be a part of this spiritual growth forum. As if you haven't watched any of the previous speakers, the replays are all here. Take a moment and bless yourself with the information and the stories that will touch your heart. As I said, my name is Karen Thomas, and we all talk about love. Love is one of those words that we hear every day. We probably hear it multiple times during the day. It is used lovingly, it's used in unlovingly ways. It's thrown out there as habit. It's thrown out there in so many ways. But what is love? How do you know you are loved? How do you feel loved? Where do you about what love really, really means? The journey I have been on has been fought with not knowing or feeling loved. It wasn't ever a question in my life that I was wanted. It was just not feeling loved. See, people show love in so many different ways, but yet love is interpreted by our own sense of what love is. And when you're a kid, that's when you develop that sense of what love is. Now, the reason I know I was wanted is because our parents always tell us stories. Now, all of us have had either good childhoods or bad childhoods, or good moments and bad moments. Some of us were blessed with the most perfect of childhoods. My childhood was fought with chaos. My mom was told she could never have kids, and my mom prayed for me every day. So that's why I know I was wanted, because I was an answer to prayer. How do you live with being an answer to prayer? You know, as a kid, I've heard this story and I'm like, how do you live up to that? The thing is from the day my mom found out she was pregnant with me, my dad was getting released and dismantled out of the Air Force. They were having to leave a place they really, really loved into an uncertain future. And from the moment they left Alaska, which is where my dad was stationed, everything in life became chaos. Now, the reason I talk about learning about love is because teach our children love. It's all generational. The problem that my mom had with not showing me love was not that she didn't love me. It's that her mother didn't teach her how to love. Her mother didn't teach her. And the generation of women not being, as we would say, cuddly, lovingly, emotional with their children was not found in my family. But I knew I was loved. I just never felt the love. Is not a huggy person. In fact, I don't know, except for in maybe special moments, that she would tell me that she loved me. My mom and dad divorced when I was 2, shortly after my sister was born. And so my mother didn't have time. She was a single parent back when it wasn't nothing. Now, my mother is turning 92 this year. And she was in a world, being Catholic, that you didn't get divorced. So my whole childhood, from the time that I can't even remember being a child, was about being rejected. My mother was excommunicated from the Catholic Church, so I didn't grow up going to church. My grandparents on my dad's side didn't like my mom and didn't want to have anything to do with us. I felt rejected on all fronts. My mom tells the story. I don't remember it. But before we left California where my dad and my grandparents lived, there was a Thanksgiving that she showed up on their doorstep and asked to come to Thanksgiving because she had no food in the house. And my grandparents closed the door and said no and closed the door. Now, I don't remember this, but my mother has told me this story. How does a child internalize rejection except to think I'm unlovable? There must be something wrong with me. My mother traveled from California to here in Virginia. And through that, she remarried my stepdad. And not knowing how to really find somebody, back when women were getting married 100 years ago, you looked for a man that could help, support you, that you could feel secure in. You didn't necessarily marry for love, you married for security. And my mom thought she married an engineer. He had a good job. She just didn't know he was an alcoholic. Finding and learning how to love is what we find and learn and experience being a child. All I found was rejection. And it was internalized on my own part because this is what I saw and felt as a child. Growing up, my mom did the best she could. She put food on the table. For her, love was doing the things. I remember I might have been 7 or 8, maybe 9, maybe it was, somewhere around there. And my mom took us to the mall. Now that was a big deal because we didn't ever go shopping. I had an aunt that bought all our clothes because my mom could not afford our clothes. So we went to the mall and I don't remember, it was called Woolworths. They don't have them nowadays. It was kind of like a Kmart. And it was just like, seeing all this stuff because we never went to the store. And as a special treat, of course, when you're a child, you're told, if you be good, we'll get a treat. Well, there was a restaurant, kind of like a deli restaurant called Lindy's that was inside the mall. And we would stop there and we would get one piece of cheesecake and split it between the 3 of us. That was the treat. So love for my mother was doing the little things, but she didn't ever say, I love you so much, I want to do this. I was never told that this is what love is. So of course you grow up, you become a teenager, you get rebellious, and then you become a young woman looking for love. And for me, it was in all the wrong places. Because I didn't know what real love looked like. I didn't know what a family looked like. So how do you make judgments? How do you make those decisions? Well, the story, you base it on what you see on TV. You base it on what you see in your friends. And the problem is that what you see out there is all a lie. Because when you look at everybody's outside world, they're showing you the best. They're not showing you the true problems that they too are having in their family. And you think that you are just the abnormal person that's just bad, that's just unlovable, that just is, nothing. So making those decisions are not based on truth, they're based on lies. And that's what the outside world now, our children, how raising children now and trying to teach them about love. Look at all of where they're getting all their information. What's really sad is that they don't teach in school. The real truth is that children below the age of 7 are in what we call an alpha state. Their brains are just so creative. They're just like a sponge for learning and for all kinds of just learning and growing. The thing is you don't get to pick and choose what they absorb. And they are in contact with schools, churches, their parents, neighbors. All these people are having input, and the TV and the social media and the devices, they are getting all of their information and their value about who they are and where they fit into the world through all of this outside stuff. Now, I did get married, thought I made a good choice because like my mother, I based it on security, who I could depend on. The thing is that when you make decisions, and we all think we're in love because I based it on what I thought love was. You find true love when you have your own children. The day I found out I was pregnant was the happiest day. I had to work hard at getting pregnant. I didn't realize I was going to have the same problem my mother did. So I didn't ever think I wouldn't get pregnant, but I didn't know it would be so hard. And I wanted my baby so much. And I had a perfect pregnancy. I felt good. I didn't have any morning sickness. I had the perfect pregnancy. The thing is I didn't have a perfect birth. I was in labor for 3 days. And when they couldn't get her to come down through the birth canal, they decided they had to do a C-section, and she was stuck in my pelvic bones. The thing is when they pushed her out, we got the surprise that she had a birth defect called spina bifida. And when your mission or your dream was to have a baby that you could love and that it could love you and that you could have this special relationship with, and then it has a problem and all of those dreams go away. I had no handbook of what do I do now. I had no handbook of how do I raise a child that can't walk. What do you do? So I did what anybody I would think would do, but maybe I'm just different. I started reading. I love to read, but instead of reading novels and, romance novels and all the silly novels, I started reading and researching and figuring out how can I be the best parent that I could be to my little girl. Because see, I didn't want the dysfunction and my little girl to feel as unloved and unlovable as I did. And this is where things change in the generations, but it needs to change faster for our girls, because children, when they're infants, all they know is the love. Every mom looks at her baby with love. They feel so loved, including me, even though I don't remember it. My mother, I know, held me and loved on me when I was an infant. The thing is that when you start walking and you start moving, then you start getting the no's and don't do that, and you better straighten up, and you better do this and that. You start getting criticized and being taught that love is conditional. It's a conditional that you do what you're told. It's conditional that you're behave in a certain way. You're not taught that you are lovable just because. You're not taught that you are worthy just because. You're not taught that you are deserving of everything wonderful just because. So, as I went through this journey of raising my special needs daughter, I had another daughter. And at 8, I found out she was special needs as well. The thing is she was a mini me. And when she was diagnosed with ADHD, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is, I was just thought I was bad. I just thought I was the odd kid that just couldn't pass tests. I struggled in school. I struggled in so many ways of just understanding stuff. And here they have a name for it. Not just bad. So I'm like, wow. The thing is by the time my second daughter was 8 years old, I'd already become a top sales leader in an MLM. You see, when you have special needs children, when you have medically challenged children, or when you're having to care for even parents or people at home, you can't work outside the home hardly. But my job let me go 3 months, 90 days to the day that my oldest daughter was born. Now, my health insurance was based through my job. And not only now did I not have a job, I didn't have a paycheck, we now had an insurance bill because back in the day, now my current daughter, that my oldest daughter who was special needs, is now going to be 42, and she's getting married at the end of this month, which I never thought would happen. And I just am so thankful to the universe, because the thing is when you learn to research and start finding the answers, not what out here all says you should do. Because out there, including my children's father, my oldest daughter would have never done anything. She would have sat on the couch, been just sitting, doing nothing. I fought every inch of the way for her to walk. She walked at 18 months. Now, it was with braces, those ones you see on March of Dimes with the little canes and stuff with braces. But she walked. She walked until she went to school. And then it was really hard because the school, it was so busy, and she got knocked down a couple times, and then she was scared. But I fought every inch of the way for her to have as normal a life, for her to do everything, anything and everything a normal child would do. Part of that was going to school early. I sent her to a Montessori school. Her father said he wasn't going to pay for it because he didn't go to Montessori. He didn't go to school early. He went to public school, and that was good enough. I said, no, it's not good enough. And so I started working even harder. I was going to pay for it. I was going to have her go to school. So I built a huge Avon business because I could go door to door. I could take her with me. I could take both my kids. I could work it around everything I did. And because that's where I found my love. It's addictive when you have customers who love you more than your family, or that can show love more than your family. Because I married a man that was as emotionally unattached as my father, who walked out of our lives when I was 3. I never saw him again until I was in my middle 20s after my daughter was born. My customers became the people that I worked hard for, because children, they love you, but they don't know how to show love. That it's a barrel that you pour love into, and you don't get it out for a long time. Now my girls are my best friends. And the thing is the journey of raising my oldest daughter through all of the surgeries, through all of the storms and the things that went wrong, I found my purpose and my voice. In building a sales business, when my daughter went and had back surgery, because when you have spina bifida, you can get what they call scoliosis. You can get scoliosis without having spina bifida, but it's very prevalent in those that have spina bifida. And she had back surgery where they put rods in her back. The thing is she was allergic to the rods. And so after she got an infection and she wasn't healing well, they had to go back in and surgically remove all of the rods. Well, she almost died in that whole time. And I closed my whole business down. I was doing over $150,000 every year in sales. I had 6 employees. I closed down my business because I believed that God gave me my children and they came first. Believing that, I am very thankful that my mother, we were all sharing a house at the time, was able to pick up the slack where I didn't have any money coming in and was able to help us get through that time. But my husband decided to leave. We decided to divorce at that time. It was just very, very stressful. What happens when your whole world falls apart? How do you pick yourself back up? I lost my whole world. My customers were what gave me strength every day because they loved me. Now I didn't have that. I was back down to ground zero. I was back down to feeling like a bad parent, feeling inadequate, feeling unlovable. We've all been there. And learning and picking yourself back up has been something that I've had to do so many times in my life that it's almost become normal. It's like, okay, what's going to shut down this year? But now, success, what I learned in building my business, because I went and got a job after I got my daughter all well. She did get well. Everything worked out. It took 2 years. But in going to get another job, what I learned is that success isn't just about money. So many of us talk about success and talk about getting ranked and being at the top and finding all those good vibes of being that good at something. The thing is success is measured in so many different areas of our life. And when you don't feel successful, when you feel like you're failing, when you feel like you're not measuring up, it will cause you to self-sabotage your world. I have a quiz that I want to make sure you have a chance to take, because finding out where you are in that success thermometer, how successful are you going to be in life, all depends on what you believe. And we are born into this world a clean slate. But all of the things that we learn along the way either will empower us or they will sabotage us. And when you start feeling that you can win, it changes everything. And sometimes when we find out that maybe we have more problems in one area of our life than others, finding which ones are weaker. They just the tiny nudge we can start working on that area, and it brings all of the areas up. Becoming successful in my life wasn't about business because I'd already been a top seller. I'd made it once. I went back into the same company 6 years later and became a top seller again. And then the company went downhill and got sold. And I had to change modes of what kind of opportunity or what I would be in. But the thing is I'd already been successful in one. I can be successful in another. Success is all based on your belief in yourself. They say, one of my mentors, Peter Sage, says that people can never raise themselves above the opinion they have of themselves. And when I was running my business at $150,000 a year, I already knew I was good. I walked on the stage. I won trips. I took us on vacations. The thing is when you lose it all and you don't have that anymore, then you feel like, can I do it again? And you lose all of that posture, and you lose all of that self-assuredness until you start working at it and start changing and learning. I've read so many books. I now call myself a self-developmental junkie. And that's why I am affectionately known now as the Self-Esteem Makeover Magician, because finding out I was ADHD after I was already a top salesperson only meant that it was a superpower and not a curse. And teaching both of my girls that their special needs, that their issues, their conditions, their uniqueness was a superpower, was the biggest success that I have had in my entire life. As I said, my oldest daughter, the one that is in a wheelchair, she's getting married. She lives on her own. She drives. She is self-sufficient. She became an independent woman, just like I decided she would be when she was an infant. My second daughter, even though she got medications, I always told her that the medications weren't a cure. They just helped her. But she had to learn the skills and the systems to stay and keep herself focused and on track. That it is not a cure and it has its issues. But all of us, every person on this earth is challenged and has handicaps and special needs. We are all things that we have to work on or that we have to work around. It's when you decide that you can, that success will blossom in your life. When you don't think you can, and when you let what's all out there, all the programming that's out there. See, our whole system, our whole brain, we are nothing but a program. All of our whole day, every day, we don't have to think about. Only 5% of our day is really thought about. So when you are going through your day, it's nothing but habits. I read the book, The Power of Habit, and it was the most mind-blowing information about how habits, the chemicals, and how it actually is created in our bodies. And that when you are living, unless you start looking at your life every moment of where you're at and what you're thinking and what's going on in your life, you are existing in a habit. And that is just existing. Finding the habits and the beliefs within yourself that can release the abundance, release the peace and the joy. This has been the biggest blessing in my life, was finding out that I am lovable. I am special, that I am brilliant, because I've worked on going through all of my limiting beliefs. I took the quiz and I found out the areas that were holding me back. And we're not ever fully completed in this journey of transformation or of reprogramming. We get new TVs because the programming needs to be updated, the circuitry change, technology change. We get new phones, we get new TVs, we get new cars, we get new things, and they are new and improved. Well, taking care of the mind and your thinking, making it new and improved each and every day, taking the time to start evaluating. Are you feel like you're hitting your head against the wall and not getting anywhere? I've had those days. And I decided that I didn't want to have them anymore. And I started reading and learning. So I want to offer you, take my quiz, and then let's work together. Let's take and tackle those areas. Everybody has them. We all grew up as children having been told no, and that we were bad, or that we needed to straighten up, and that we needed to do. We all have those programs that are sitting in our subconscious, and they are active until we decide to change them. Let me take a sip. I now know and feel loved within myself. Finding the love in yourself is the only true freedom and happiness, because the world can't give it to you. If you feel or have more moments that you feel unlovable and that you are a bad mom, how many of us have gone through the bad mom thing? Or where you're having to encourage your children in ways that people don't approve of. And I've had those looks. I had one time, and I pulled into a handicapped space. My daughter's in a wheelchair, but my car isn't marked. I'm not handicapped. And I was getting out of the driver's side, and I had somebody drive by the back and says, "You don't look very handicapped." I opened up the back of the car, got her wheelchair out, put her in the wheelchair, and went into the store. And as I'm rolling around doing my grocery shopping, I came face to face with the people that had decided to yell at me from the window. And the look on their face when they saw my daughter in a wheelchair, they turned around and walked the other way in embarrassment. Because kindness, you never know people's struggles. You don't know what anybody is going through. And we want to judge ourselves based on what we see out there, what we see in the TVs, what we see in the commercials. Every day out there in the world, they are trying to program you into thinking that you are less than, that you need to have something else to be worthy or adorable, or just to be a good human. You need something else that they have. But you have everything you need right in here. And finding that sometimes just takes deciding that you want to feel loved. You want to feel the love within yourself. You want to feel the happiness within yourself. Not needing anybody else to make you happy. Not needing anything to happen to be happy. It took me a lot of years to slowly figure out that I was lovable and that I am worthy. It breaks my heart when I was the Avon lady, seeing women in their older years that were bitter and sick, and husbands had left or husbands had died. Their children weren't anywhere around, because nowadays we're all over the country. We're separated. People don't move and go just down the street so that we can do. Both of my girls are several hours away now. They're not close. And I would hear and see the pain in these older women. And I said, I don't want to be that when I grow up. I don't want to be that when I get old. And now I'm a young 66. And when you decide that you want to have a fun, adventurous, loving life, it is there for you. So I encourage you. I am here to lock arms with you. I invite you to take my quiz. It also gets you a free 30-minute consultation. Just love fest if you want. Just I'll sit here there and love on you. But I encourage you to take a minute. Just take my quiz, and you will see for yourself maybe some areas. Maybe you find out that you're well on your way to having very limiting. Maybe you've done all the work. Maybe you had a life that really helped you grow and reprogram as you went along. Life reprogrammed me. It's done it in some very challenging ways. But through all of my tragedies and all of my challenges, I now know that I can survive anything. Tomorrow holds no fear for me. And I want that for you. Because you are deserving, you are lovable, you are amazing, and you are brilliant. And if nobody's telling you that, tell yourself that. Because it's the truth. It's the only truth that is absolutely, without a doubt, what you need in your life. Because at the end, I'm a very, very big near-death experience. I love all the stories about near death because they all come back and talk about the love that is in the universe, the love that is there. And so I know that above all in this world, love is the answer to everything. And the closest that most of us see it is when we love our children, as mothers, that we love and adore our children. And if you're not taught how to love and adore your children, my mother wasn't taught. She had no idea. She never saw my grandmother and my grandfather kiss. Affection was not ever shown in the old school, in the old world, in the old style. So she didn't know how to teach me. But life just chirped me out and said, you're having a different life. There is no book there is no role pattern, there is no nothing. So I thank you. I thank you for listening. I thank you for being here. And I would love to have the opportunity to share with you some ideas or some ways, or just tell you how wonderful you are. So as we close, I am just so appreciative to have been a part of this forum. And I encourage you to watch the replays. There's so many wonderful speakers, so much wonderful information that has been shared in these 10 days. We're not quite through. There's a few more scheduled for, for today and for tomorrow. I'm not sure how long the replays will be up, but I have been blessed, and I hope that this has brought some blessing to you. So I thank you and I appreciate you. I am beyond blessed to be a part of this community and this forum. Thank you, Cherise. I appreciate the time. I appreciate everything that you've provided for this great forum here. Thank you.